Limitless Wrestling fans, Jon Alba, Randy Carver, the czar of Limitless Wrestling. We're back here on the Limitless Wrestling Podcast. The way it's going to go, folks, is whenever both of our schedules line up, we're going to lay one down. And unfortunately, it hasn't been too kind lately. I'm in the middle of football season here. Randy is pretty darn busy himself, promoting two promotions and doing other things with his left hand. I don't know what, but it's good to get together here. And what's been going on?
Not much, man. This week it's big preparation for Let's Wrestle this coming Saturday, which we'll get to, and then obviously Fresh Blood in a couple weeks. And we've had a few changes, obviously, to Fresh Blood, which we'll I guess we're going to cover fully in this episode. So it's been a wild couple weeks, but a lot of fun.
Yeah. God, I'm loving how clean your mic sounds. That's how it should be.
It's so much better.
That's good. That is good. Yes, lots going on in the world of Limitless Wrestling and Let's Wrestle. But first, I want to plug this before we do anything else. There's an article going around online right now that ranked, it wasn't a personal ranking, it was a statistical ranking of the top 100 pro wrestling YouTube channels by promotion, and Limitless Wrestling, born in Brewer, Maine, inside City Side Restaurant, is number 7 in the world. Ahead of Ring of Honor. Insanity.
It's pretty wild. That was pretty cool to see today because I had seen a list, I want to say it was like early to mid 2018, where we were pretty high up there in the grand scheme of everything. We weren't number 7, but we were definitely, I think we were in the top 20 or 25, somewhere in that region. And then to see the new list that surfaced today that had us at number 7 in the world, which is fucking insane. So just a big thank you to anyone who's really supported Limitless Wrestling and supports online, subscribes, views our content that we put up. Because there's over 700 videos on youtube.com/Limitless Wrestling. There's so much content there. So for the people who check that out, thank you, because honestly, the revenue that we've been able to accumulate from YouTube and other avenues where our content is, like an independentwrestling.tv, that's what's truly let us be able to grow, especially like over the past year and a half. I would say it's made a true difference where we can run more often or run bigger shows or bigger venues like you saw with the Portland Expo. I don't know if any of that's possible without, having these other revenue streams that are supported. So it's huge, and it was really cool to see today.
Yeah, and this episode of this podcast is available on YouTube, as is every episode of the Limitless Wrestling Podcast. So if YouTube is the place you go, there you go. Pulls up right there. Just even more content. So we are available to you there and everywhere else that you can find a major podcasting distributor. And on this podcast, we talk a lot about what's going on in Limitless Wrestling and Let's Wrestle, so let's not waste any more time. Why don't we? We got Fresh Blood. It is coming up at the end of the month, but there is some movement, Randy, and it's got some people talking. What's the case here?
Yeah, so we listened at the Portland Expo event. We heard the not-so-great reaction for our return to the Portland Club, and we decided we were in the market for new venues because we've talked about it a little before. I don't know if we've talked about it at length, but the Westbrook Armory is actually unavailable for any rentals throughout the rest of the year. They had some kind of building close in the community where it was like something owned by the Armory renter, I guess, and he moved all that shit to this building. So it's essentially a warehouse right now and no longer an open venue for any events. So we're kind of waiting that out to see what our future holds in Westbrook, Maine. But the Portland Club obviously was a venue that we were kind of outgrowing for quite some time. Really, the only shows that fit in there were the first like 2 or 3 that we ran there, and then everything else has been getting tighter and tighter by the event. So we've been just looking for new venues, anything that would fit Limitless Wrestling. Ideally, we're looking for something along the lines of like a 600 to 800 person venue that's affordable, and that's tough to come by in the Portland, Maine area. So we stumbled into the Yarmouth Amvets by the Back Row Mafia. Huge fans of yours, John.
Oh, I know. Them and their 62 followers. Congratulations to them.
Oh, come on. 62 loyal followers.
Well, I don't know if their mothers know how to use Twitter, so
I don't know. Alex had the contact there, and we got in touch with them. We've been down to check out the building twice. It's got a little bigger capacity than the Portland Club, a higher ceiling, basically everything that people have asked for, differently about the Portland Club. It's got a big parking lot to the side of it. So we just decided to, and this was the other kicker as well that I have not said yet, because people were asking, why didn't you just wait till the November event to move everything to Yarmouth, where you've already announced the show in Portland? And that's a very good question. The Portland Club actually came to me the Thursday before we made the announcement. So I think it was 4 days before we made the announcement. The Portland Club came to me in an email, and they said that they had an event within the past couple weeks that had tipped the capacity, and there was a complaint to the city of Portland. So they had a fire marshal go check out the venue and kind of give a new number of what their total capacity could be. And that went down from 350 to 175 for seated events.
Yeah, so that's that might be the end there.
That does not work. And we'd already sold more than 175 tickets. So I told them that was not going to work. Good on, cool of them. They did give the deposit back, and there was no bad feelings either way. They kind of understood that obviously I can't fucking have any success on an event where I can only draw 175 people tops.
Well, hey, listen, the Portland Club, just as historic as the Westbrook Armory and Limitless Cannon, there's been some incredible things that have happened at that venue. The Ace Romero pounce of AR Fox that went viral went down in that venue. So many other big time moments. So it certainly served its purpose.
We just posted a match actually today to celebrate 525,000 subscribers on youtube.com/Limitless Wrestling. That was one of my favorite matches from the Portland Club. Ace Romero versus Darby Allin from No Control. So if you haven't seen that, definitely check that out. But yeah, it's a bummer because I did like the Portland Club, and there's a lot of Limitless history in that building. And it's not to say that maybe down the line we don't run like a double shot with a smaller show at the Portland Club, or maybe we even bring Let's Wrestle South. I don't know, but we still have the connection with the venue, so it's still something that could happen. But I think we've seen the end of a full-fledged Limitless Wrestling show at the Portland Club, unfortunately. But
well, thankfully, Yarmouth isn't that far. It's pretty close still.
About 15 minutes down the road, 12 if you drive like I do. So you'll it's very close. It's not far. It's only a couple exits out of Portland, so the drive is very easy for anyone who's coming from the Portland area.
Yeah. So
and the parking's better. A lot of people got towed last time, which was unbelievable.
That's not good. Well, parking is good, and high ceilings.
Yeah, that's a huge plus. It's almost, I would liken it to a bigger version of the American Legion Post 84 in Orono for anyone who's attended shows there, with an even higher ceiling than there. So I think it's going to create a really nice atmosphere for pro wrestling.
That's the thing. High ceilings not just allows the performers to do more things, but high ceilings creates more noise.
Absolutely.
So a ruckus crowd there, it is going to sound big time. And when you're talking fresh blood, you got to talk about what is coming up on this card. First off, Gangrel. You know how excited I am. I'm so excited for this. This is my guy. And he's wrestling for the first time ever in Limitless Wrestling. What's the latest with what's going on with him?
So as we're taping this, we just announced tonight that he's a part of a four-way dance going down at Fresh Blood. It's going to be Gangrel Alexander Lee, accompanied by Joey Eastman, Danhausen, and DL Hurst. So probably the, some of the creepier guys on the Limitless roster that night, going to go head-to-head in a four-way dance elimination style. So that'll be a very fun one to watch. I'm excited to have Danhausen back. I feel like it's been a long time since Danhausen's been here. And just like you, I'm very excited for Gangrel as well.
I almost feel like Alexander Lee would appreciate a bloodbath.
I'm sure he would. He's a weird guy.
Like I almost feel like that would be up his alley.
And I think, this is I don't mean to throw Gangrel to the side here, but if we see a good showing, this is an elimination, like I said. So if we see a good showing from, a Danhausen or DL Hurst, who DL Hurst has been on the rise lately in Limitless Wrestling, but this is guys who are jockeying for position in Limitless Wrestling thrown into this matchup. So A good performance out of any of these guys could honestly ensure not only a return to Limitless Wrestling, but some big matches as we move to the end of the year.
Dan Moff is back. What's going on with him?
Dan Moff, I'm really stoked about this match. Dan Moff's going one-on-one with Matthew Justice. And if you don't know Matthew Justice, head over to his Twitter page, because pretty much every video that's in his little media section is him jumping off something crazy or doing something like just fucking insane. These two have faced off before in GCW earlier this year, and it was just absolute hysteria. So when I got word that we had a chance to put this match together for the fans in Yarmouth, I definitely wanted to do that, because Dan Moff, after going one-on-one with Ace Romero, definitely deserving of another shot in Limitless Wrestling. And I think he's really earned his keep with that one performance, and he can do it again if he can defeat Matthew Justice. Now,
I know you're super high on Daniel Garcia, and you're throwing him quite the test in a first-time ever matchup, aren't you?
Yeah, Fred Yehi, in my opinion, who is Daniel Garcia's opponent at Fresh Blood, one of the most underrated wrestlers on the independents, and I think he's been that way for 2 years. Yehi made his debut for Limitless in March of 2018. He was in a triple threat match with Martin Stone and David Starr.
It was so awesome. It was so awesome.
Oh, it was.
Martin Stone, really great showing. Danny Burch is the man, and he's getting all this time on NXT too. So it's so cool.
So fucking good, man. He was another one I wish we could have had more time with. Yeah. He was a lot of fun, but Yehi had an awesome showing, and unfortunately, we just, scheduling issues happen sometimes with guys who we'd love to work with more, but unfortunately, their schedule doesn't allow it. So it took us a while to match up on dates. It literally took us over a year to match up on dates once again, but Yehi hit us up early this year. We set something up, and this was the match I knew I wanted right off the rip, because I think Daniel Garcia needs a test like this in Fred Yehi. He needs someone who, he's got to outsmart, he's got to break down, he's got to figure out a way to stay on the offensive, and Fred Yehi provides that test. So very eager to see this. And if, Daniel Garcia has been on the rise since his return in June, and I honestly think, looking at the matches that he's had lately, this could be the biggest test yet.
I totally agree with you on that front. A singles showdown, John Silver and Layla Hirsch.
Man, we're going over this card again. I feel like it's my dream card, because this is I'm so excited.
Where'd the idea come for this match?
So they've faced off once before at uncharted territory for Beyond Wrestling, but John Silver actually has been the biggest proponent for Layla Hirsch in Limitless Wrestling since April, I would say. Layla had been attending Limitless shows for a couple months earlier this year just to help out, and I hadn't really seen her yet. Had only been introduced to her once, and then after John Silver's recommendation, checked out a few things, and that's what led to her Limitless Wrestling debut. So it's kind of cool to have, the person who is kind of backing someone to come into Limitless be the first, the first promoted, I should say, singles match. She wrestles Christian at Know Your Enemy, but
it was awesome.
It was awesome, and I think this will be awesome too. These are two insanely stiff strikers, and it's going to be a very fun one. John Silver is someone who knows Layla Hirsch very well too, so Layla's going to have to pull out probably some new stuff to fool John Silver, who's looking for his first singles win, and I don't know how long in Limitless Wrestling.
MSP is back at it, first time ever against Violence is Forever. This is a team that I've heard a lot about. I haven't seen too much from. What can you tell us about them, and why is this an interesting matchup?
So Violence is Forever is Kevin Koo and Dominic Guarini. And Kevin Koo is actually someone I've known fucking forever. He had one of his first matches for IWE back in the day at the Springfield Fair, something of that nature. One of the fairs, Farmington Fair it was.
How about that?
And I stayed in touch with him ever since then. And that was, I want to say 2014. He was with IWE for a short stint, but ended up moving to the Midwest area, I think like Tennessee, and he helps out with Sup Graps, and he's had this insane tag team for maybe a year now with Dominic Guarini, who's out of the AIW school in Cleveland, Ohio, and they're just coming back from their first tour of Germany, to give you an idea of how well they're doing for WXW. So if you haven't seen Violence is Forever, definitely check them out. MSP's been saying for a long time that they've one of the best tag teams in the world. And, we've kind of given that to them this year. They had the New Heart Foundation in May, the Workhorsemen in July. They settled the score with Alexander Lee and Brandon Kirk in September. So now this is honestly one of the teams who's been tearing it up in that Midwest region of like Black Label Pro and Sup Graphs and different promotions like that. So if they want the best from all around the world, we're going to try to hit all regions and get them the best tag teams in those areas. And in my opinion, that's Violence is Forever right now in the Midwest. So they're coming in. I'm very excited for that one. Very excited to get Kevin Koo back and very excited for Dominic Guarini to debut.
Any other matches on the undercard that you want to talk about here before we get to the main event?
So it's unofficially official, but Kevin Blackwood, we saw the promo go up with him, Andy Williams, Pepper Parks, and JT Dunn, the little confrontation they had backstage at Know Your Enemy. And the challenge was laid out by Blackwood that crew from Buffalo of Kevin, the Butcher, and the Blade are eager and willing to take on JT Dunn and two partners of his choosing. But we haven't heard from JT Dunn yet. So we're still awaiting a word from JT Dunn. I do imagine that he will come up with partners to wrestle them because he does want to get his hands on Kevin Blackwood once more. But we just don't know who they are yet. Also announced on the card, Jody Threat, Chris Statlander, Caleb Conley, Ashley Vox, and many more. There's still a lot of matches to announce, so definitely stay tuned to the Facebook and Twitter and all social medias.
I love Caleb Conley. I thought he had a good little run in Impact that kind of went under the radar, truthfully.
So I was able to watch Caleb Conley for years. Luke, for Pro Wrestling Experience, used to bring up Caleb Conley all the time. So I've been a fan of Caleb for a while now. He was another suggestion. Once we drop the match, we'll tell the story of how he came into Limitless Wrestling, but it's a match I'm very excited for.
Then we got our main event, Best Friends Battle. Retro AG against the returning Josh Briggs.
You pretty excited about this one?
Dude, this is gonna tear the house down.
I'm excited, man.
Because it's so personal. It's so personal, Like they love each other, but you're going to be hard pressed to find someone who is able to check that all at the door quite like Josh Briggs is able to. When Josh Briggs is in the ring, he's an animal. He's a monster. And AG's got to be up to that test in his first defense inside of a Limitless ring.
Yeah, and this is a good first defense for him to have. I think it's a huge challenge ahead of him. Josh Briggs has truly kind of grew into a pillar of Limitless Wrestling throughout 2018 into 2019 until he started slipping down the ranks a little bit, and then obviously in March had the devastating hip dislocation injury at Evolve that took him out of action for just I think a month and a half or 2 months. He had an amazing comeback, and he's been killing it all over the place. Some of the top promotions in the world, Evolve Wrestling, AAW, Beyond, and he's been successful everywhere he's gone, and he's also beaten Anthony Green 3 times this year.
I mean, these two opened the Evolve show together on the network.
They did. And, if Anthony Green can overcome it anywhere, it's on his home turf in Limitless Wrestling. But Josh Briggs, who truly had the run of his life in Limitless Wrestling and has beaten some of the top talents in the world inside a Limitless Wrestling ring, now he's got to do it for the championship, and it's a very, very close friend of his and Anthony Green. So.
I mean, this is a main event that, like, you talk about in pro wrestling promoter terms. You aim for your main event to draw money. This is a money-drawing main event, and I can't stress that enough, folks. This is a match that you will want to see with your eyes. They are going to go in there and try to one-up each other at all costs, obviously, because they're both competitors, but there's so much pride on the line between them. And just think what it would mean for Briggs to just show back up and walk away with that title and ruin all of AG's, everything that AG worked for.
Yeah, it could be over like that.
And then what does that do to their friendship?
The test immediately.
What does that do to their friendship then?
I don't know, man. I don't know. AG, he said there's a video that's online that the camera caught up with him just after his title victory, and he said that he 100% wanted to be everything that MJF said he was going to be, but wasn't. And that's a fighting champion. He told me that he wants to defend the championship on every single show. I'm not sure if that will be happening, but truly, this is this is the championship, what it truly was meant to be, open to any and all comers who, those who deserve it. And Josh Briggs is the first guy to step up. And I'm not sure if Anthony Green really expected that. I'm not sure if anybody expected that. We haven't seen Josh Briggs since March. Yeah. So what a return it would be, and what a shakeup to Limitless Wrestling it would be if Josh Briggs returns for his first time in 7 months and wins the championship.
No doubt about that. Tickets available at limitlesswrestling.com. How many more are we looking at, Randy?
There's not a ton left.
Okay.
As I said, the capacity is bigger, but it's not much bigger than the Portland Club. So we're looking at about 125 tickets remaining.
So get your tickets now. Don't wait, because you never know how many are going to be left come day of the show at the end of October. And things could get a little fishy. We're looking at the 25th for that, correct?
Yeah, October 25th, Friday night. Big parking lot, so no parking debacles anymore.
That's the good stuff right there. That not the only show you're worrying about, Randy, because Let's Wrestle returns to the American Legion Post 84 this Saturday, October 12th. Volume 10, Don't Lose Your Head. You shouldn't, because when you lose your head, you lose your hair too, and that's only things that Jeremy Leary does. You don't want that. We got a stacked show here. And I'm going to kind of work my way up. I'm going to correct your grammar here before it goes out on any promotional material if it hasn't already.
Uh-oh.
It is not the first annual. First annual is grammatically incorrect. It would be the inaugural Gordon Stewart Memorial Battle Royal. I'm stoked to see.
You're the first one to correct me on that.
Yeah, because you all live in Maine and none of you know better. But first annual is a it negates itself. It is the inaugural.
No, that makes sense.
Yes.
Duh.
So next year it can be the second annual.
It fucking will be.
But this is the inaugural Gordon Stewart Memorial Battle Royal. I'm stoked to see this happening. Randy and I talked about Gordon a few episodes back. He was killed in a car accident earlier this year. A dedicated supporter of Limitless and Let's Wrestle and Maine Wrestling in general. And this is going to be in his honor. How'd this come about?
Well, it was just something that I thought of doing because, as we talked about on an earlier episode, Gordon was such a huge part of our fan base early on that was very small when we started everything. And he'd be at every single show, huge supporter in just, the times when Limitless was not nearly as popular as it is now. And the same for Let's Wrestle in its infancy. He was at every single show and was beloved by the wrestlers, especially locally, because it's not just limited to Limitless and Let's Wrestle. He was at IWE shows. He'd be at GIW shows, anything locally that was in the central-ish Maine area, he was there. So we wanted to do something to, I don't know, to really just give our thanks. And this would be something that I know that he would truly enjoy and be thrilled by. So, and his family was very happy about it too. And they're all, I know a lot of his family because they would come to the events as well. So they were stoked about it. And now this is an opportunity too, where we can, continue to educate our students too at the school, like how important these fans and their interactions and, everything truly is with wrestling, because I feel like you can lose sight of that sometimes. And this is just a reminder of, how much we do care in return for, how much they give to us. So very excited for it. The winner of this match as well, the Gordon Stewart Memorial Battle Royal, they will earn the first slot, not the first position, but the first spot open in the 2020 Let's Rumble going down this January.
When's that happening?
We don't have a date yet. We're running in December now, which I didn't expect to do, but we'll talk about that next week when all the details are out. But I don't know. I don't have a date for it yet.
So you have to win a Rumble or a Battle Royal to earn a spot in a Battle Royal.
Correct.
That's interesting. How many people are going to be in this?
It's a lot of our students that are involved in this as well, who may not.
Okay, so this is a big opportunity.
It truly is. Yeah, it's an opportunity for dojo guys, and not even just limited to that. There's a lot of people who travel up with the carloads that we booked, and when they're up here, they don't always have a spot. So this is something where they can jump in as well and potentially earn themselves a future spot. And Let's Wrestle with.
We agree we're not letting Dave Dyer in this after his heinous Fry tweets.
Dude, Dave Dyer is banned from the building that night. We'll get to that when we talk about the main event, but Dave Dyer will not be in attendance or in this battle royal.
I'm glad that you
Or
banned
the
him
GM,
after
Johnny
his.
Torres.
I'm glad that you banned him after his heinous tweets. That
He's gonna be so upset that you're trashing him on the pod.
I don't care. He earned it. He earned it. So that's cool. How many people are going to be in this?
We're looking at about 20. I
Wow,
believe.
so
I
that's
think we're
big.
gonna- I think
All
we're
at
gonna
once?
20. Yeah,
20 people in that
it's gonna be
ring?
the
Oh,
traditional
man.
start on the outside, and then when the bell rings, come in too.
Say that again?
It's gonna be the old school stand on the outside of the ring until the bell rings, and then run in.
Okay. I thought
Battle
for a
Royal.
hot second you were doing the whole Impact thing that they used to do, the reverse battle royal. That was the dumbest idea for a match ever.
What is that?
You've never seen this? Oh my God. When TNA first got some momentum, and I don't think they were the first to do it, but they were definitely the biggest promotion to do it. They did a reverse battle royal. Everyone starts on the outside, and the goal is to get in the ring. And the first two people in the ring then have a match, and the winner wins it. It is
Wow,
so dumb.
we should just do that. You're
No,
right.
it's terrible. It's so
Great
bad.
suggestion, John.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
That's terrible.
Because it's a bunch of guys just beating each other up on the outside, and like someone tries to crawl in the ring and they just get yanked
man.
out. It's horrible. Don't do that ever.
Our luck, we'd put Roadblock in it. and he'd
Oh
just-
my God. Or worst, Greenleaf will enter himself in. It'll just be a
Fuck
disaster.
no, Greenleaf will not be in that.
MSP teaming up to take on Alec Price and Channing Thomas.
This is one I'm stoked for. Mainstay Posse. They don't always team in Let's Wrestle, so it's fun to see them team in Let's Wrestle, and they're colliding with two guys who I think have had standout years in Let's Wrestle throughout year one. Alec Price and Channing Thomas, both of them coming in at the end of last year to Let's Wrestle and really just having performance after performance and victory after victory that's impressed truly everyone in Let's Wrestle. And Alec Price has had numerous matches on studio tapings as well, actually one-on-one with Danger Kid once that were truly impressive. So Alec and Channing, they showed an interest in potentially teaming, and why not have them go against one of the top teams in Let's Wrestle to kick it off, the Mainstay Posse.
Perry Von Vicious and Doug Weiser.
Did you see the promos leading into this?
I did not.
Doug Weiser goes nuts
I have a
about
job.
hot dogs, and Perry Von Vicious is lost in his mind. So if you haven't seen those, check out the Let's Wrestle Facebook. But these two have history. We saw Mutually Assured Destruction, which is PVV, and Iron Rip Bison collide with the Dirty Drifters earlier this year. So Doug Weiser's looking for some revenge here. Doug Weiser, also a product of the Limitless Dojo, looking for some revenge against Uncle Sid's favorite nephew in PVP.
Has Doug Weiser bathed yet since I last saw him?
I would guess it rained a couple times, so there's got to be, a couple rain showers has got to be the equivalent of a bath for Doug Weiser, I would assume.
Jesus Christ. Ugh. God.
Just guessing.
Ugh. Davian and Brett Ryan Gosselin.
So this is an interesting match. These are two people who I feel are really near the top of Let's Wrestle, but they need that one more victory to kind of propel them into the main event picture,
Hey, look,
the title picture more especially.
If BRG wins this, he beats a former Let's Wrestle champion. It's that simple.
Yes, and I think if BRG wins, then he could be the number one contender coming out of this event because not only will he have pinned Davian, but he's beaten Channing Thomas, he's beaten Mack Daniels in recent months. But Davian,
Eric Greenleaf helps him beat Mack.
What about him? You love Eric Greenleaf. Davian, on the flip side, as you said, former Let's Wrestle champion, truly never had the rematch that she does truly deserve, but obviously it's been a weird time for her as she aligned herself with Sierra, who subsequently was taken out due to injury. So this will be Davian kind of reinserting herself into the singles scene in Let's Wrestle, and if she can pick up a win against BRG, she's going to have some momentum going towards the championship match as well.
The Stigma and Malik Logan versus the Syndicate. Interesting to see Malik Logan continue to build a little bit of a reputation here in Maine. He used to team with Brett Ryan Gosselin And now we're seeing him in this different role with the Stigma, and to have to go against the Syndicate, that's going to be quite the battle.
Yeah, I think it's tough for any trio, any group to go against the Syndicate when they're so accustomed to being a trio and wrestling and fighting as a trio. So I do think in any point, if they're not wrestling an established trio, the advantage goes to them. But the Stigma are the guys who won the Let's Wrestle Tag Team Championships, and if my memory serves correct, pinned the Syndicate at Volume 9 to win the championships. Malik Logan, an interesting addition to the team, but obviously they do need a third person to go against the Syndicate. And I think it's a very interesting choice and a good choice. Malik Logan's only appeared in Let's Wrestle once. He's been someone who's really been busting his ass. He's done a couple of the studio tapings and impressed officials, and that was the choice by Eric Johnson and Brandino Davis as they head into this battle with Owen Brody, Murdoch, and B.A. Tatum. And there was also a stipulation set on this contest. If the Syndicate are victorious, they'll get a tag team title shot in December. If they do not win, they can't challenge for the championships as long as the Stigma are the tag team champions. So a lot rides on this trios contest, and I'm interested to see how it goes.
Me too. I'm also interested in something else.
Oh my God.
Because the premiere match on this show,
you know who it is.
You know what it is. Scott Wilde deciding he's going to attempt to be man enough to go against the main attraction, Mack Daniels. I see Mack having that huge win over DK in his pocket.
Did you watch how we got that?
That's just, 1, 2, 3. It was great. And you know what?
The main attraction
knows exactly what he's getting himself into here. Okay, Scotty Wilde, I know he's a vet. He's been around. He ain't got nothing on Maine's hottest attraction. Literally and figuratively. You've got a big-time star on your hands here, man. Tell us about the match.
Okay, so this is one that I feel very similar to Daniel Garcia and Fred Yehi. I think this is a big test for Mack Daniels, and I think he's had tests so far. Obviously, he's wrestled Aiden Agro, he's wrestled Danger Kid, Brett Ryan Gosling, and it's been up and down success-wise for Mack Daniels. So this is another test thrown at him in Scott Wilde, who really was a stalwart of Limitless Wrestling as we were starting the first couple of years of Limitless. He was always someone who was on those shows and had a pretty successful run in Limitless Wrestling. And so far in Let's Wrestle, he's had a successful run as well. He came out victorious in the Cluster Jam at Volume 9. And really, if you win that Cluster Jam, it's kind of proven itself, where the winner of the Cluster Jam moves on to a higher tier singles match. And Scott Wilde, who had been somewhat falling down the card, wins that Cluster Jam, gets back into a singles match, and it's with Mack Daniels. And these are two guys jockeying for position in Let's Wrestle. And just like Davian and BRG, I would say the winner of this contest has to be in some sort of contention for at least a number one contenders match coming up soon. So this could be a big one for Mack Daniels and a big one for Scott Wilde, who's really trying to reinvigorate his Let's Wrestle career. And I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited because Scott Wilde is also someone who I watched, way back in the day. He's been wrestling in Maine for about 10 years now. So he's got a few tricks up his sleeve that I hope Mack Daniels, for his sake and for your heart's sake, does not underestimate Scott Wilde.
I know he won't. He and I have had conversations about it.
I'm sure you have.
Just because I'm not there managing him in person, I still manage him from afar in all of his affairs.
Of course. How could you not?
So, just saying. We got Masha Slamovich versus Ava Everett and Angel Sinclair. It's a triple threat match. This is an interesting one. Tell us how this one came about.
Well, the Platinum Honeys, as many know, have been wrestling as a tag team, as a unit for quite some time. And I had been approached by both recently in saying that they wanted to try out singles competition. So I don't know what better way to kickstart that than putting them in the same match as each other, because I think a lot of people assume that they're going to work together. However, it's very cliche to say, but only one person can win this match, John. So,
Well, if you're Hell in a Cell, you don't actually have to give a finish, so you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, man, we're not the Fed, brother. But in my opinion, what better way than to put them in the match together? Because that means shit has to hit the fan. Something has to break down, because the Platinum Honeys as a unit cannot win this matchup. And Masha is coming to prove once again, coming off her debut match with Davienne, that she's nothing to fuck with. Masha has recently earned herself onto a Limitless Wrestling show. She'll be at Fresh Blood on October 25th. She's had numerous impressive performances lately, so I'm excited to see her once again in Let's Wrestle, and I'm excited to see how this match plays out for everybody involved.
And then the Let's Wrestle Championship match, huge test for Calvin Strange here. He's got the asshole Mike McCarthy, a guy who probably deserved this a long time ago, truthfully. He's getting his shot now. What are you expecting from this? This is a total styles clash here.
Yeah, so to pull back the curtain a little bit, Mike McCarthy was actually in line to get a championship match very early on in Calvin Strange's run. If some people remember, over the summer, Mike McCarthy suffered an injury that actually took him off of a Limitless Wrestling show. I believe it was the Vacation Land Cup.
It was going to be his debut, wasn't it?
It was, yes. And it took him off of that, and it also took him off a Let's Wrestle event. And obviously plans had to be changed, but Mike McCarthy, since returning from injury, has worked his way back up the ranks in Let's Wrestle. A recent victory over Alexander Lee solidified that he was the number one contender, and he would challenge Calvin Strange this Saturday, October 12th in Orono. And McCarthy's always been someone who seemingly had Calvin Strange's number, where at whatever state, whatever promotion they go to, Mike McCarthy seems to always outsmart the classic one. And there was also a bomb dropped earlier this week for Let's Wrestle fans that Calvin Strange's protege, the Belfast Bulldog, Dave Dyer, would be banned from the building for the entire event. So he will not have any interjections into this main event contest. So I'm excited to have a fair platform for a Calvin Strange championship defense, something that I feel like we haven't had in a while.
Well, the Belfast Bulldog, God, this was disgusting. Disgusting. His preference for condiments on French fries. Go back and check out the Danger Kids poll. See what he put on there. And see the little back and forth.
It was some kind of mixture of...
He likes mayo ketchup.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? What kind of psychopath? Why do they let him vote? God.
That was certainly a wild choice. I saw Jacob Drifter on there with the spicy ketchup. I can respect that.
Ugh. Disgusting. Anyway, this is a big test for him. I'm excited to see if classic Calvin Strange can kind of dig deep and combat that styles clash, because the asshole doesn't really care, quite frankly, about any of that stuff.
And I'm excited to see if this reign of classic style can continue, because I keep getting surprised. I'm not sure why, but the reign of Calvin Strange has been impressive. As much as I shit on him for using shady tactics, it has been an impressive reign. So once again, excited to see a very, very good challenger step up to Calvin Strange and see if he's up for the challenge.
All right. So again, that event is coming to you this weekend. Make sure that you go support Let's Wrestle. It is very exciting to see what these, especially the dojo students, have been putting together and working hard with the trainers over there. So go check that out. And of course, if you're interested in getting training, Randy, where can they head to?
Yeah, so we have a training facility located in Brewer, Maine, right off of I-395, the Limitless Dojo. We've got 3 weekly classes every single week. It's a very affordable rate as well. So if you're looking to train to become a professional wrestler, referee, get involved somehow, email randycarver@yahoo.com, or just go to our website, limitlesswrestling.com/training. And there's a full form that you can fill out and get in touch with me. And we can kind of talk about the specifics of everything. And it's pretty cool, man. We've got 4 people who are, 100% trained from the Limitless Dojo that are going to be on the Let's Wrestle show this Saturday. So really cool to see how far these guys are progressing. I went to the NAWA show this past weekend to watch Jacob Drifter, Doug Weiser, and Mack Daniels in action. I was very impressed once again to see the progression that they've had.
Mack Daniels,
we've only been open since November, so they've had a lot of progression in that time frame. It's very awesome to see. And I do want to mention before we get off the topic of Let's Wrestle that we did announce on the latest This Week in Limitless on limitlesswrestling.com that there will be a Let's Wrestle showcase match to kick off Fresh Blood on October 25th in Yarmouth. It'll be at 7:15, so it'll be a pre-show match, so get there early. But 2 guys who are very deserving of the opportunity are going one-on-one in a singles match, and that'll be announced the week of Fresh Blood, so stay tuned for that.
I love it. Exciting stuff. To wrap things up here, Randy, I know you wanted to talk about this, but we had the biggest week of pro wrestling in probably 20 years last week. Any impressions stick with you?
Dude, so I didn't get to watch a ton, but I've actually been making a conscious effort in starting at the beginning of this month to just watch more wrestling. I kind of had a lull period for a while where I was bummed on everything, and now I'm very, back into it. I guess we have, it goes up and down sometimes, but I'm very into stuff right now. I watched AEW. I loved it. I thought it was a very good show.
I did too.
There were a couple things, obviously, like a couple hiccups, but that's being nitpicky with, their first ever television production. I think they fucking hit a home run. It was a very good show.
Well, it's one of those values that you see with Limitless too. You are looking at a promotion in AEW right now that wants the fans to have a good time and to enjoy themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a product for a good tier of our audience who are looking for really good professional wrestling with less of the bullshit and less of the, I don't know, just it in stuff that would insult your intelligence. You know what I mean? Just it's real professional wrestling. It's fun stuff. You get a smorgasbord of an amazing roster and amazing talent to choose from and watch every single week. So I think it's a plus for everybody. I also watched NWA.
Power.
Yes.
It was awesome.
Dude, I thought it was really fun.
So for those of you who don't know what it is,
I wasn't going in
for those of you who don't know what it is, it's the NWA basically rebuilt a studio that was a replica of some of their old tapings back in like the 80s. And they're doing studio wrestling again, and it's set up with an audience and the big old studio cameras. Jim Cornette's there, and it was awesome.
It was really cool, and it's like the old school layout with a new school feel because it's obviously not other than really Rock and Roll Express. I don't think there's any wrestlers from original NWA days. But
well, guess what? The Rock and Roll Express are doing like Canadian destroyers now. So.
Oh, that's not a knock on them at all. So they should be there, but I'm just saying it's that new school feel with the younger wrestlers. But it's really cool. It's really cool, and I enjoyed it a lot. I didn't go in knowing what to expect, and it wasn't something that I had to overanalyze. You know what I mean? I knew what the format was going to be pretty much if it was similar to as what they were promoting. And it was a lot of fun to watch. And AEW was as well. Like I'm planning to watch it tonight too. So that tells you for someone who doesn't always watch a ton of weekly wrestling, especially on the night that, it premieres, I'm excited to watch again tonight.
So there you have it, folks. Another edition of the Limitless Wrestling Podcast is in the books. Head to limitlesswrestling.com for all the latest updates, ticket updates, and everything else that your little heart might desire. And check out the YouTube channel as well. Big stuff happening over there in Limitless Land. He's Randy Carver. I'm Jon Alba. We'll see you next time.